Tasha says what she really feels unashamedly, unapologetically, and it's all those things that Wendy thinks, but it's like, girl, you can do that. But I love her, and no pun intended, I love the balls that she has to just stand up and be who she is, good, bad, or indifferent.
The Game Season 2 premieres on Paramount Plus on December 15th. So how does this season stand out from season 1?
I think season 1, you saw the world of the game in terms of, the field and the players and the football and all of that. I really think this dives into the personal demons that we are all facing. Last year, it was mental health. I think this year it's physical health, it's substance abuse, it's a lot of elements that are not necessarily in the locker room, but in the real rooms, the bedroom, and things like that. Yeah.
Brian, I called my thoughts, how I labeled the season. Last season was the cause, and this season felt like the effect in a way. So we get to see what was all caused last season, the effect of all of that this season, or some of those things this season.
Absolutely. And Wendy, I wanted to ask you this. At the end of season 1, Tasha is put in a vulnerable spot because of Malik's decision, really the team's decision to walk out at the start of the game. So is this the most challenging situation Tasha has ever encountered in her career?
I think the most challenging are the effects of what he did. Yes, absolutely. So it's a ride that I didn't see coming, but I welcome it so much as an actress because it was salacious. It was great to be able to, without tipping too much, but to see the consequences of the actions. And, that's my son, that's my world. So how far will I go to support his choice and the team's choice, and at what cost? So definitely it is the most vulnerable you will see Tasha.
And that leads me to my next question for Hosea. Malik's decision to walk out obviously has a ripple effect on the entire league and really just the people around him. So, and how important was it for the show to touch on the league going on strike? Because we've seen it in the NFL with the lockout in 2011, the strike in the early 80s. So how important was it to touch on that as well as how it affects everyone? Yeah.
I think it's the number one priority. And what I mean by that is the number one priority is to get the story right and to get it as authentic to what players are dealing with. The whole world faced in the last few years some challenges that we've never experienced in this generation. And what that did for a lot of us is it forced us to be more authentic than we've ever been and to deal with our realities that a lot of us have maybe pushed aside or been in denial about. But over the past couple of years, for so many reasons, COVID included, obviously, we can't really hide anymore. So the show, in my opinion, it had to resemble what real life is. And that's an authenticity to what the players are going through, especially when it comes to mental health and protesting and all these things. So we had no choice, in my opinion, but to get it right by using the authenticity of what the players are going through in today's time.
Absolutely. And Wendy, I want to ask you this. There's so many things to like about Tasha. She's never short on words. She's strong. She's independent. And obviously she's an entrepreneur. But what do you like most about Tasha?
Ooh. Wow. Great. You know what? I call her, she's my alter ego. Because Tasha says what she really feels unashamedly, unapologetically, and it's all those things that Wendy thinks, but it's like, girl, you can do that. But I love her, and no pun intended, I love the balls that she has to just stand up and be who she is, good, bad, or indifferent. And she deals with those demons, because they get her into a lot of trouble, but I just love her fearlessness. But, every now and then we have to face those fears, and you're going to see that this season.
So this question is for both of you. What can fans expect from this new season?
They can expect a lot of plot twist.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of plot twists and a different version of a lot of football.
I think that a lot of plot twists. I think fans can expect to see some of the characters go to some very real and sometimes dark places along their journey. You know, like I think the issues that were brought up in season 1 continue to be issues a lot, and they actually kind of take a form of itself that kind of gets very dark a little bit for some of the characters. So I think they can expect to see that, and I think they can also expect to see how the strike really how that affects everything that's going on with each one of the characters, and the extent to what they'll go to make the best of their situation.
And Vaughn, I wanted to ask you this. In the first episode of season 2, I got a chance to watch that. We get a little bit more information about Jameson, about his background and where he comes from. So how much fun was it for you kind of exploring that character to start the season?
It was really fun. I literally wrote on my script, I was like, you are 18 again. So act like it. You know, like being an 18-year-old, you know, you're going to Alabama, you're the top running back in the country, you got your girl, you go to this, like, you just came from prom, your whole life is set in front of you, you know, and you just feel like you're on top of the world. So, and, you know, hopefully this translated with the performance, like Jameson just really felt like he was untouchable. He just felt so good. He felt like everything was going to be fine. All of y'all tripping. Me and Allison are great. You know, like he was just so carefree. So it was really fun to just be and just let loose. You know, the first scene he's dancing and stuff. So yeah, it was extremely fun.
I like to see how you added some how he was naive and a little bit of like more jovial.
Yeah, well, he's definitely like you'll see the jovial. Like he's just playing, like he put something on his mother's head, like, "Ooh, you cute," stuff like that. But I think his naiveness was just arrogance, like you can't be touched, you know. And he got so many warnings that episode. He did like literally everything, and he was just like, nah, I'm good. Nope.
But Adrian, I wanted to ask you this, and when I was watching the first season, it seemed like Brittany couldn't catch a break towards the end of the season. Yeah.
I was reading it, I felt like.
But towards the end of the season, and she gets fired. Tasha Mack fires her, and she has to end up being the hostess of the club, which she pitched to the owner. So does she finally catch a break in season 2?
Woo! I mean, she needs to. She really does. But I will say that I am proud to say that Brittany bust her behind, and her hard work does pay off. Her resilience, her persistence, all of it really works in her favor, and she continues to stay grounded and very intentional. And the chips fall, like things seem like it was rock bottom, but it was all for a reason. It was all for a reason. And it's kind of like that situation where you ask God for something and he says no and you cry about it, but it was because he had something 10 times better in the other hand for you. That is the exact situation that goes on with Brittany in this season. And it's so beautiful to see. And I think it's inspiring. Like when you sit back and take a bigger picture of it, when you're going through tough times and you feel like, dang, like I really wanted that job, or this relationship was supposed to be the one, or anything that you got you super down, having faith that everything is always working out for your greater good.
Of course, that's great. And this question is for both of you. And at the end of season 1, and Vaughn, you kind of alluded to this, that we see Allison, and she meets up with Brittany and just talks about, Jameson, obviously. So how will the return of Allison impact the relationship between Jameson and Brittany?
First, I want to just say the actress that plays Allison is amazing, and she's so fun to work with. Very, very talented. Super, super grounded.
She's dope.
I think that. Do you want to step in?
No, go ahead. You started, Adrian. Go ahead.
I think that it brings Brittany back to a reality, because before, Allison was the past, and it was kind of like she wrapped her mind around it being in the past, and it not necessarily being something she had to deal with presently. And then her actually being there makes it all come into fruition. Like, oh, okay, this really was the situation. And this woman right here that I could touch and reach out is the one who did this. So I think it brings her really back to reality and kind of allows her to have more of an understanding of Jameson. And I think when you have understanding, you can have a lot more compassion, and that's where love thrives.
Yeah, I think for Jameson, seeing Allison pop up again, I feel like he's like, all right, if I can just get over this, if I can just like release her, I can get on my future, and me and Brittany will be good. So I think he looks at it in a very fundamental way, like just get over her, and you're good to go. But we all know life sometimes has its own trick up its sleeve, and people have their agendas, and I just think that Jameson and Brittany are good enough to withstand those troubles that might come up. But again, people have their own agendas.
The game season 2 premieres on Paramount Plus on December 15th. How would you best describe this season?
Gosh, it's like a roller coaster. Like you are going to be on a crazy ride, and you're going to be excited, and you're going to be sad, and you're going to be happy, and you're like, it's great.
I think we started to get really in depth with the characters, especially with mine, and also I would say Analisa's as well. We start to see, where they come from and their backgrounds, and things start to come out from the crevices and the cracks.
And yeah, that actually leads to my next question for you, Toby, is Garrett Evans, as we saw in season 1, one of the top players in the league, looking to get that big contract. And in the season premiere of season 2, and you alluded to it, we see your background and kind of where you come from. So what can fans expect from your character in the second season?
Well, certainly that the picturesque that Garrett puts on isn't all there, and that there's cracks in that, and we start to see that, as we all do, we have tough times with our families, and we have rifts, and then there's a lot of, resentment there. So I think that those sort of feelings come up, but also how he tries to navigate that with his quote unquote new family, whether that's football or whether that's a special somebody else.
Absolutely. And Analisa, Raquel, what we saw at the end of season 1, starting to make moves in the music industry, and it looks like her trajectory is only going to keep growing in season 2. So, but should we expect those big things coming in this second season?
Yeah, you should expect to see the journey of it, which to me is actually the most exciting part. So you're going to see, the highs and the lows.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that. And this question is for both of you. Obviously the game, this version is a reboot of the original version, which ran on the CW and the BET. And when you joined the season, you two joined in season 1, you were kind of new to the whole universe. So how has this experience been for both of you?
Oh, it's been fantastic. Hosea and Wendy Raquel Robinson have been so welcoming and bringing us into the family. And that's needed. And it's great that we had that support system coming into it. And then we just tried to bring the best that we could. I mean, I tried to bring the best that I could to the show and to build off that classic legacy that was the game.
It was amazing for me, just because a lot of the people on the show have already been on shows for a very long time. And I just learned from everybody, and everybody was so willing to just drop gems with me whenever they could. And me, I'm like a sponge. So I was just like, okay, and then what I should do. And then, so it was exciting to see everybody just come together, and I don't know, the growth between this season, the last season, and this season.
And this is another question for both of you. With your characters being so close, how much have you enjoyed working closely together?
I love it. He's dope. He drives me crazy.
I love working with Analisa. She's just as crazy as Raquel is, but no, she's, Analisa is a very giving actor, and that's great to be working with, and someone that's always down, not only to rehearse, but to try and dig deeper and have fun. And at the end of the day, that's something that you want to be a part of any job.
Oh, he's being sweet today.
That's awesome. But one last question for you before I let you guys go is, obviously the game is all about life on and off the field when it comes to professional football. So after doing 2 seasons of the game, do you have more of an appreciation of the NFL and just football in general?
Well, I'm certainly a big fan. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Nice.
And but I think it three-dimensionalizes it for me. You know, I was watching it as a spectator before, but, you know, getting to play Garrett Evans and thinking about some of the themes that we have running through this show, all of a sudden you start to empathize with characters, but also people who really play the sport, athletes that really play the sport and what they must be going through. So it certainly does.
So funny story, in college, I used to be a hawker. So I used to sell food going up and down the stadium. And I just remember being like, damn, everybody looks so happy and this and that. And then when I started doing this show, I just realized like sports definitely brings people together. And then being on a sports show, I'm just like, oh, like they really be putting in work. Of course, these people are going to be your family. You're spending how many hours with them? Oh yeah, it was cool from like stadium and then like actually dating someone who's in the stadium, you know?
That's great. Well, Toby and Analisa, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Congratulations on the game season 2 and continued success to both of you.